Welcome to the NRT Now podcast, giving you the latest in Christian music news, topics, and artist interviews directly from the largest Christian music site online, newreleasetoday.com. Now, here's your host, Jake.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. And we have a very special co-host with us. We have Legin with us on the line here. And
yo,
just
to
be very clear, it is not Legin.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for setting that straight out the gate. Thank you.
Yeah,
I've been called a demon so many times when people introduce me. It's crazy.
You know, the first time Kevin, I first saw your name come through an email, and I mean, Legin was the first thing that came through my mind, the way it's spelled. And Kevin, I'm like,
there's literally no O at all anywhere in it.
You know, and looking at it, I'm like, why does that sound familiar? I know that's something biblical, but I'm not sure why. But something just wasn't clicking. And then Kevin finally told me.
It's actually, the way people say it is like, it's not it's satanic, even though it's biblical. It's satanic. I'm like, no, it's not what I'm trying to promote, guys. Sorry.
So yes, just to be very clear, it looks somewhat like Legin. It's not. It's Legin.
Thank you, bro. I'm a rapper, so I get to spell things wrong and get it past. It's okay.
Yeah. So just to
go
ahead.
I was gonna say, man, just to for the reason for Legin. My name is Nigel, and Legin is Nigel spelled backwards. And the whole point is that Christ completely reversed my life and transformed it. That's the whole point. Turned it all around.
Now I'm looking at that and I can't not see that, but that is awesome.
Thanks, man.
Now it's some sort of like brain teaser here. Like, what can you read backwards?
Yeah.
So, that part of the introduction done. So you're a rapper, you do a lot of spoken word. You founded safe houses both in South Africa and the U.S. from what I've understood. Tell us a little bit about who you are here. Yeah, I can clarify the Safe House nonprofit piece too. But yeah, I'm an artist. I'm a preacher, a father, husband. Love God, love my family, love music, love the gospel. And, it's just fun to use arts and creativity to get it out, man. So I'm actually starting a tour that begins next Saturday. And just traveling and preaching and sharing the gospel, man. It's fun. So try to use my art to bring the reconciling hope of the gospel, especially I've been through fatherless background. I've been through apart from Christ. I've been through all of those things, and I've seen God heal broken places that didn't think could get healed. So I try to bring that hope to other people. And I can elaborate a little bit on what Safe House is if you like. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. In the last episode, we talked about I was at what they called the Denton Freedom House up here in North Texas, just kind of a halfway house, just trying to heal people, to reintegrate people. And I know we connected a little bit on that, just having seen both sides of that. So I definitely think that's something I'd like to talk a little bit more about, just hear a little more about the impact of that.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, for me, the story is this. I went to South Africa in 2016 with my church, and we were working, and we did some concerts, and we did some racial reconciliation talks, which is something I'm very passionate about. And then we did, we were working in an orphan care center over there called Cures Global. And shout out to Cures Global. They take care of 130 kids every day after school whose parents have passed away because of HIV/AIDS. And at this beautiful facility, it's not an orphanage, it's an orphan care center. I just saw this amazing stuff happen. I said, well, what's next for you guys? What's the next thing? And Dr. Marsha said, oh, we really need a safe house. And I said, what is a safe house? I had no idea about any of this. And she basically began to describe in horrific detail the danger that their kids, especially their girls, face as they develop trafficking, being kidnapped, being sold, and all of these horrible things that we don't even fathom are really happening in the 21st century. And so we came back, me and my team, and I was depressed, couldn't sleep, couldn't stop thinking about it. As soon as I stepped off the plane, I got an article talking about Hampton Roads, Virginia, where I live, is 13th in the nation for trafficking. And I'm thinking about the kids over there, and I'm thinking about my kids, and I just lost it. And I'm like, what is going on out here? Long story short, I called Dr. Martian and I said, hey, we're going to help you build that safe house. I don't have any money, but I can make music. I'm going to make an album, call it Safe House, and we're going to give you every dime of it. And hopefully somebody with some money hears it and cuts you a big check and we get this thing up. So we raised the money, we put the album out, and streaming and all that, indie artists, we weren't making any money off the album, but people started to send checks in. And then I had a friend come alongside, Christy, my sister Christy, and she said, hey, what if we do a 5K? And I was like, cool, let's do it. And that went really well. And all this energy was behind this opportunity to save and serve these kids, that we were like, this is bigger than us and bigger than what we thought it was. So I have a nonprofit that I did this through called Expect Renaissance, which is an extension of my label that I released my music through. And so we said, hey, let's make Safe House, this whole endeavor, a separate nonprofit. So we started Safe House Project Inc. in 2017. And Christy sits on that as the CEO. I'm on the board as the founder. She's assembled an amazing team. And the goal of Safe House has been to expand the vision nationally to America, because there's 300,000 kids a year here who are trafficked. And we only have less than 1% of them get rescued, and we have less than 1% of those available beds for them. And so she wanted to expand that here in the States, but also acquire all the funding we need that would forever fund the Safe House project in South Africa with Curious, as well as start to expand safe houses in America. And I'm just pleased to announce that was 2016. All this started. April this year, I went back to South Africa again, and we dedicated the house. The house is up, and we're waiting for some final things to happen so we can actually bring some kids in who need a safe place to live. So God is really good, and it's gone way farther than I ever could think in South Africa, and especially here in America.
That's amazing. And it all started with an album.
Yeah. It was like, I don't know what to do, but I can rap about it, So, and God had much more in store than I thought I ever imagined, though.
That's awesome. That's way awesome. And you also got the stuff with the milk, the Legin dairy. I'm kidding. I've been waiting to use that joke. I've been waiting way too long to use that joke, and this is the last time we hear from Legin.
Way too long. I don't even know what happened to that. Oh. That's funny. I just got off a whole 30 thing, so I haven't had any dairy in like 31 days. But thanks for the reminder. Now I'm going to get some cheese.
Well, yeah, it's one of those like dad jokes that have stewed for way, way too long. Stuff that should never, ever see the light of the day, but you just can't help yourself.
And it's bad, but you have to get it out of your system to be satisfied. I understand, bro. I won't hold it against you. If you do it again, we'll have a conversation, but that's cool. I get it.
Yeah. The one-time pass, I'm appreciative. And
it's all right.
Too bad
I'm a Christian brother's grace.
But and my daughter's not here to give me the rolled eyes, so I got a little bit pass on that side as well.
The only challenge is all of your podcast listeners. There's a collective eye roll on the other end of this podcast is happening to you.
Absolutely. For everybody who hasn't turned it off yet, like, I don't know if I can go on with this.
Yeah. All the unsubscribes.
There's only so much I can handle, man. Like, that was too far. It was too far. I agree. But,
legendary joke. So.
And where's the drum roll? Where's the rim shot on this? That if anything was deserving.
You were the man with the. Well, I mean, you can do that in post. So, and edit that in post because you can.
Yeah. So everybody who just heard that after post, if there's a rim shot, act surprised.
Yeah.
So getting back to somewhat on topic. Wow, that took a left turn. So you recorded a 5 minutes promo that will be on the road with NRT, wherever NRT is on the road this fall. It's 5 minutes. I'd like to play it here real quick, and we'll just kind of chat about where it came from here.
Sure, bro.
Music is dangerous. Passes the senses straight to the heart. If that's the case, you should watch who makes your art. God is an artist. In his image, I just play my part. Imago Dei, make music on some how great thou art. I want to hear the melodies from heaven mixed with earth's instruments. The greatest songwriters assemble to keep it interesting. I'm all about good art. I marvel at his exhibit, the Lord's an avenger. We knew the end game from the beginning is A-O, Alpha, Omega, Mercury, Plato, Milky Ways and black holes only exist in his say-so. I disrespected that king. His son took my payload. Resurrection flings my debt. This briefcase is case closed. Now that's better than death, disrespect, and misogyny. That's facts. These words bring life to dry bones. They're not just vocals or raps. Garbage in, garbage out. Get your input right. Listen, 5 minutes of God's lyrics can change your life. So what's next?
So that's going to be on tour wherever NRT is on tour this fall. Man, that's an incredible word. What started that down that path to kind of running down and recording this whole thing?
Man, Kevin shot me an email, bro. I was really grateful. He's always been, you guys at NRT have always been really helpful. I did a spoken word album last year, and he would always share my videos and email them out. So it kind of had me on the radar as a spoken word guy. And last year, my friend Roy Tosh did it, and he sent me an email like, could you do something like this? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And we were just talking. I got my man Will Thomas, shout out Will Thomas, he does all my videos in Atlanta. I was like, bro, I just got this opportunity. I'm just gonna fly down there. We're gonna do this. And so we just went down there and did it together and made an original piece. I just thought about what you guys are about, like putting out good content that can change people's lives, like not just cliche Christian music, but like life-changing stuff if you get the message. And so I just wanted to talk about that, like this message changed my life, just the gospel. So talking about that in contrast to the other stuff we get from all genres of music that's talking opposite, just the contrast. I want to talk about it.
I mean, so you start off with, music. I'm going to have to go back to the line here. I just kind of got lost in it all.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I've listened to this
music
probably.
Is dangerous.
Yeah. I've listened to this 5 times so far. I mean, every time I just completely get lost in the spoken word, but at the end of it, I kind of get the feeling of it, but it's like, what did he just say? I just get lost in it. But yeah,
thank you.
Music is dangerous, and it goes
bypasses the senses.
Yep, bypasses the senses and goes straight to the heart. And I think we hear it a lot. We kind of hear it termed a lot differently as that music is a universal language. But I love how you take it a step further and say it just kind of goes beyond the senses and straight to the heart. I don't know, I guess.
Yeah.
Take me through your thought process as you're
talking. That's a quote I got.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, bro. I apologize.
Oh, it's good. So the fun of a phone call, right?
That's a quote that I got from. Yeah, right. Fact. That's a quote, man. So I have a nonprofit called Expect Renaissance where I do outreach in the community, and one of the things I wanted to let people know is how important music was. So 2 quotes that I found that really helped articulate what I was trying to say was one, and I think I saw it was attributed to Plato, but nobody really knows. And it was music is the most dangerous weapon because it bypasses the senses and goes straight to the heart. And you think about how music gets you moving. You think about the songs that you have stored in your memory banks right now that are diametrically opposed to things you should be celebrating and messages you should be condoning. Everybody can quote a full song of stuff that is like a negative message for them, but because it's music, it's there and it's never going to go away. It's in your memory bank. So it's a dangerous weapon. There's another quote that I didn't work into the spoken word that I live off of. It's from Scottish politician Andrew Fletcher. I think I'm saying that right. And it's the 1600s. And he said, let me write the songs of a nation and it will not matter who writes their laws. And so I think about that. Wait, say, bro?
Well, and having young school age kids, one of the things that they do a lot is teach through song. Make songs that as parents we wish would just die, but it helps teach the kids. And so it's very powerful. That's something that catches along.
yeah, I mean, educate through music, teach through music. We got music in church. We got music, all that stuff is fantastic. I just, my personal mission is to combat negative messaging that we get through music. And like I said, you know, my field is typically hip hop, but that's not the only. I mean, it's bad messaging and, you know, all music before hip hop showed up. So like, it's a heart of man issue. But anything that's telling somebody that they're less than the image of God or less than who God is, I want to respond to that, you know, with grace and truth, tactfully and peacefully, but strongly. Like, no, that's a bad message. It's not helpful for anybody. You know, I took my kids to a circus one time. A little local circus came right here, and I remember this one song came on, and the song was horrible. The entire hook was about just being out of your mind on drugs. This was the entire hook was about. And the beat came on. The beat's infectious. It's an amazing beat. The beat came on, and I just remember just looking around this camp and seeing the scores of elementary age kids and their parents singing the song together in unison, and nobody seemed to have a problem with it. And it broke my heart and burnt me up at the same time. I was like, what is happening out here? This is not okay. So that's kind of where that music is dangerous comes from. Like, we got to watch what we put in our system.
And you're saying that I'm reminded of the Macarena, like, you know, that hopefully still should have died with the 90s, but somehow it's like, I mean, it's coming back around of, can you believe we actually did this these days? But, you know,
my kids literally the other day, I was like, how did they learn this? Why is it still here?
Yeah. You know, but if you've ever dug into the lyrics of the Macarena, it's not entirely positive at all.
I never have, bro. Like, it's really interesting. Of all this talking I'm doing, I've never looked at those words. I'm really interested now.
I don't remember what got me down that side trail, but I saw that somewhere and I'm like, is that really what it says? And you look at it and yeah, you know, it's talking about, you know, a gal who's stepping out on her guy while he's out in the service. And it's like, and we've been dancing to this and celebrating this for...
Wow. Are you serious, bro?
Dead serious.
Yo, literally played at the daddy-daughter dance. I remember it. Oh, my God. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I had to tell my son to stop singing Old Town Road. Like, I listened to the lyrics. I was like, wait, where'd you learn this? I learned it at YMCA camp. And I was like, okay. And they played some stuff that I think they thought was, like, family-friendly or whatever. It's Old Town Road. Dude on a horse. What's wrong with that? Literally says, lean all in my bladder, cheating on my baby. You can go and ask him. And I'm like, my kindergarten son is singing about lean in his bladder because nobody thought to read the lines of these songs. And I don't want my son saying it. I said, stop saying it. Am I going to be the only? Yeah, I am. But I'm explaining it to him like, this is a bad thing he's telling you to put in your bladder. He's talking about like cheating. What if daddy went cheating on mommy right now? Break mommy's heart. Like, we're not talking about that stuff. So we don't sing Old Town Road. You know, catchy song, not for my kids.
Yeah. You know, and it's something that's crazy. And I keep talking about this. I think I've talked about it on the podcast here before, but, you know, talking a lot about, you know, why I got involved with NRT originally is because I have that kind of passion for Christian music, because not only do you have the lyrics, you know, the music, you know, and I think, you know, as time goes on, Christian music just keeps getting more and more creative. You know, the creativity that comes through Christian music just gets better every year. But, you know, it also has that other purpose, you know, it tells a story, but it also has kind of that higher purpose of that story leading to Christ, leading to God, and, you know, how he moves through people, you know, and I think, you know, what you're talking about, letting it be good art, you know, make sure it's good art. You know, I think music is dangerous, not only, you know, the path, you know, that the side trail that we went on, but to which there's probably going to be a bunch of soccer moms or a bunch of moms that are like, what's going on here? Like, I can imagine John Chris doing a whole article on, or a whole YouTube on this one. But, you know, so it can do that, but it can also go to the other side and say, you know, really lead someone to Christ, lead someone in worship, you know, just kind of get somebody through what they're going through.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. And I think I think the art is important. Like, we have to, if it comes down to it, you know, like, content is obviously the most important driver, in my opinion. But I think that, you know, we got to continue to step our art up. I think we can enjoy and celebrate where we are, but never be satisfied as far as growing. Because I think Christian art can fit the bubble and the mold sometimes of being only for Christians. And you need that. You need, you know, there's some people like, no, let's go outside the four walls of the church. But what if somebody's calling to stay inside the four walls of the church and edify the body? Like, that's a holy, righteous, significant calling. Some music is for Christian believers, and that's fantastic. But you got to have some art that's not only crafted just inside of Christianity and Christian taste and Christian culture musically, but that can transcend that so that it can be heard outside of that. And I think you got to have art that's able to do that, from professionalism, from appeal, from attractiveness. Like, we got musicianship and songwriting, like, we got that. It's not a problem. I think we should continue to push the barriers of the attractiveness of our art. So it's not, so it doesn't sound like only like Christian genre music. Sometimes it can do that. There's some guys who are breaking barriers and making amazing stuff. But I think that that's something we need to continue to push the boundaries on. Personally, as a music consumer myself, I think that's something we got to keep doing.
You know, and so, you know, 5 minutes, you know, can definitely change a life. You know, I think that's the main push through this promo. And like I said, something that I love getting lost in every time I listen to it here.
Thanks, man.
So, you know,
I really appreciate that, bro. For you.
Well, I mean, you know, you got to call what's good, right? So, you know, it's on our YouTube channel here as well. The NRT YouTube. It's going to be out on tour. You know, and we were talking a little bit beforehand. You know, this is just kind of the start of partnership with, you know, Legin and NRT, if I haven't already ruined that by horrible dad jokes.
We'll find out soon enough.
Yeah, I know, right? So, you know, we'll be doing, it sounds like we'll be doing something on the regular, you know, with the spoken word, just talking about various topics that are on your heart at the time. Yeah,
I'm excited about that too, bro. Yeah, definitely. We're doing throwing some videos up talking about, you know, fun conversational things, you know, peaceful things like politics and social issues that people love to discuss and don't fight about. It's not true. Everybody fights about these things. But we'll talk about this, you know, just throwing up, you know, cultural conversation things, you know, stuff like, you know, for example, I personally think we're about to enter a very divisive and nasty political season. And it's on it's on no person's side or no party's side. It's just the way our political climate is, and everybody's to blame. And my heart during this season for the church is that she not find herself caught up in one side pointing fingers at the other, but that we find ourselves pointing up. Hold your convictions, do your thing, as long as they're gospel. I don't care. Have fun. But my encouragement to the body, even in my local church, is like, yeah, I can't see y'all on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see y'all on Facebook behaving like everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
And it's so frustrating when you see believers just with the vitriol, all the grace and mercy they sung about on Sunday is gone once politics comes into it. I'm like, y'all can't be like this.
Yep.
If you don't know how to behave with it, just shut your mouth, dog. But like, this is dragging the name of Christ through the mud. Like, be passionate, have conversations, take people out to coffee, like, hang with people you disagree with, please. But don't be nasty. Like, why? You know what I'm saying? This is something that's going to change 4 years from now. Stop. So that's, you know, stuff like that is the type of stuff I want to be able to encourage and think through and talk about. And just different things. I mean, reconciliation, fatherlessness, like if you dealt with that, how can you get through it? Man, that's something that a lot of people go through. There's just different things I think might be interesting. So we'll start doing something like that too.
Awesome. Well, and I hope, you know, you'll be, you know, a perennial guest host with us here on the podcast. You know, for the reason why we're getting
proud of you for working that in there.
Yeah. So we were talking beforehand a little bit for everyone listening why Legends got the laugh going. We were talking about this a little bit beforehand, and I wasn't sure if I was using the word right. I just went for a big word because I haven't used one yet today, and surprisingly it stuck and it was accurate. So we worked it in.
Yeah.
So, and
I was going to Google to find out what the crap you were talking about, and then it just turned out that you were 100% right. I'm proud of you. That was amazing.
So there's my one big word for the day. I'm done. Like we're good for the day. But
a dad joke and a big word. Good stuff.
They've got to balance out somewhere. Like I'm on both ends of the spectrum. Maybe, it kind of balances out to running right down the middle. That's my hope.
I'd say you're at a cool zero. You're not at the negative and you're not above, but you just made it. You made it in the black, and that's all you can ask for right now. Yep. Good.
Average. We'll take average.
So, average is better. I'll give you average. That's fine. You can have it.
So, but we hope you. I'm excited to have you be a kind of a perennial guest host on the podcast here, and I'm very excited to see what comes down from here. I'm just gonna start texting you perennial out of the middle of nowhere.
Right, 5 a.m. in the morning. Don't forget, have a perennial day, and just take it all out of context.
Yep, absolutely. It's gonna be a thing now.
This sandwich is so perennial. I got to take it back and get my money back.
Yeah.
I just mess it up.
Like, wait, is that really how that's used or not?
Not at all.
Cool. So, well, we very much appreciate you co-hosting here.
All right, bro. Thank you.
So, as we head towards the interview portion of the podcast, we're at episode 10. It's a milestone, a small milestone. It's just where we're starting to knock that new podcast smell off. We're just starting to get in the groove of it. And, I'm loving where this podcast has gone. It's gone farther than what I've expected, what I anticipated when we started talking about this, months ago. And so, now that we're here at episode 10, I'm very happy to, bring in our next guests here. It's Bretta Stone. It's a band that is very, it's special to me because of the time that I've gotten to spend with them over the last couple of years, and just to be around them, see what they're about, hear them speak, listen to their music, and just the friendship that has been extended to me. It's just been the time seeing who these guys are, and not just the members of the band, but the whole staff that's, the whole village that travels with them. And so, it's awesome that I get to share this 10th episode, with them. And you got Ben and Bill and Jason and Timmy who are in the band, but it's not just them. They've got Brittany and Sarah and Skylar, and I'm sure I'm missing a whole bunch more, and I'm sorry to those that I'm missing, but just the whole village that just come around and just support this ministry and just minister to people. And it's not just what they do from stage, it's what they do, behind the scenes and, with volunteers. And it's incredible to see what they do, when they roll in for a festival or, they set up and produce a show. So, I didn't tell this to them in the podcast because, I get to do it as an introduction. So, they'll be hearing this for the first time, just like you guys are. So, I'm very excited to, bring them in for it's Ben who's going to be hanging out with us for a little bit here. And, I'm very excited to, have you guys listen to what I've gotten to listen to over the past couple of years. So, without further ado, here's Ben with Bretta Stone. All right. Well, we are here with Ben with Bretta Stone. Ben, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I met you guys, is it 3 years ago now?
It's been a while.
The first time that you did Uprising in Wyoming?
Yeah.
So I've got to spend some good time with you guys. I really spent some good time with you guys, being a stagehand, hanging out on stage, annoying you guys, getting in the way all the time.
Oh, we like that, man. We appreciate that a lot.
So, trying to get out of the way, but I'm usually in the way. That's usually how it works. So just tell us a little bit about Bread of Stone. You are in the band with your brother Bill.
Yep. So Bread of Stone started back in 2004. And it was just my brother and I when we first started. And then the current lineup right now is we have Tim Barnes. He's on the bass. He's been with us for 11 years now, I think. And then Jason Ferris is our latest drummer. He's been with us for going on 5 years now. So he's the newest addition, but not super, super new, but he's the newest one. So it started, oddly enough, because my brother and I, we grew up in Indonesia. We moved here back to the U.S. in '92, and our whole family was not musical at all. And we were never brought up in like a family that's into music. And so when the Lord spoke to our dad for us to start a music ministry, it was kind of very odd for us because that was definitely not what we had in mind or in plan. And so we just trusted the Lord and stepped out in faith. And, so we started taking lessons, piano lessons, vocal lessons. And that's kind of how the whole band started, was just from the Lord speaking through our dad to say, start a music ministry. And we didn't know what that means, what that all entails, music ministry. We just knew what we knew at the time and just start walking. And that's how it was. And now it's grown to more than just the band aspect of the ministry, going on to, like you said, doing production work as well, helping other bands get started. And so it's a journey that started out with very simple command, basically.
And so that's actually what I was going to go to next. Is it's not just a band. You don't just come in, roll in, a couple hours before, do your sound check. You guys are there, a lot of the times from from step one, from 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning, and you guys run all the way through, the headliner and teardown and all that.
Right. And, oddly enough, that wasn't part of the plan. And I don't think we had it in our mind that's like, hey, here's a good motto for a band. What if a band came with production and then also supply production for other bands? And, that wasn't the deal at all. The reason why we got into doing production was honestly because we were not gifted or great at playing or singing. So my dad's, when we first started, it was really, really bad. Mind you, like we're in Iowa, Sioux City, Iowa, middle of nowhere in terms of music. And there was nobody around to guide us or to help us with whether it's music recording or music performing or anything like that. And so, or music writing. And so when we first started, we were really bad. And we, my dad, noticed early on, and he said, there's one thing of being a bad band and not being able to perform, and then on top of that playing through a bad sound system, because then that'll make you guys really bad. But if you're a horrible band but you play to a really good sound system, at least you're tolerable. And so from the beginning we started investing in purchasing our own little setup. We'd have like a Tahoe, and we pulled a little trailer behind it, and we'd have some speakers on a stand with I remember we had a Mackie 24 channel analog console, and that's what we used on the road. But we dialed everything in ourselves. We had our own in-ear monitors, we had our own microphones. And so that's how we started. The whole thing was because we were so bad that we want to make sure we can be the best as possible we can in terms of the production side, so that we can make ourselves more presentable to the audience. So, and that's how it all started. The whole production thing was us figuring out how to make ourselves sound better, because we were lacking in the talent side of things.
And so that the company is called BNY Productions.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least that's what I read off your T-shirts as you guys were scrambling by.
Yeah. And that was a crazy thing too, because like, as we progress over the years, we started touring for and opening up for other bands, and came to a point to where we figured, it's best to keep the production separate than the band, so that it's like when we do production, not everything goes through the band and everything. So we said, okay, let's just come up with another company and call it a different name. And so we like the idea of having a 3-letter name. So we're like, oh, BNY. So it's like my first name, which is Ben, so that's B, and then my dad's name, Nehemiah, so that's N, and then Y is my brother's middle name, which is Yehezkiel, which means Ezekiel in Indonesia. And so we're like, oh, that sounds really cool. BNY sounds very official. So we're like, let's just call it BNY. And that's how BNY birthed.
Next time I see Bill, I'll have to call him by that.
Yeah. Yehezkiel.
I'll come back to this episode and prepare. I think that'll probably take me about 15, 20 tries to get it anywhere in the neighborhood. Right. No, let's not go that far. Like it's just to get in the neighborhood of being decent. Not only do you do kind of the audio and the that kind of side of it, you guys really seem like you're pushing the boundaries of like tech as well. Not the LED walls, just some of the sound tech that's out there. It's not just the audio, speaker setup. It's the whole package.
Right. And that again, it's like I'm going back to that same pathway, same ideas, because the truth is, honestly, all of this is not from us. It's all from the Lord, because I think all along He had a certain plan that He wanted us to go through. We just didn't know what it was, and we just, in a sense, followed whatever path was laid out for us, and even the whole LED thing, now we're one of the top LED provider here in the Midwest in terms of LED video panels. And that all came out again from the idea of, we're like, well, we want something that's more engaging with the audience, so that if our music wasn't the best, at least they'd have a good time being able to engage with what we did. And so having video content and having interactive things throughout the show, whether it's cameras that we've had that we could show the audience on the screen, or anything like that was enticing and bringing the audience to feel like they're a part of the concert rather than just listening to the concert. And we always kept pushing the boundaries, just because we felt as though that's what the Lord wanted us to do, just keep moving forward. In the last couple of years, even we've grown substantially. We've been working with a manufacturer, audio manufacturer, speaker company in Berkeley, California, called Meyer Sound, and we worked with them together to basically to put out the concept that's been around for a while, but being able to put it into real life was pretty cool. This summer in July, we were able to do, for the first time ever for us, an immersive 360 audio event. So basically, our concert, instead of listening to speakers to the left and the right side of the stage, there are speakers placed all over the venue. This is a 2,500 seater venue, and we placed speakers all around the room, and also speakers above as well. And so we were able to move sound in real time, live, anywhere we want to in the room. And what the effect of that was, one, I mean, it was really cool, because it's something that's never been done before. But at the same time, it really made the audience feel so much more a part of the music than just listening to music itself. You know, this was an experience for them to be able to be in the music, which is really cool. It's hard to describe, and I think for a lot of the listeners too, it's something that's hard to imagine if you haven't experienced it, but it is something amazing. We did, you know, I think it was only a 20-minute concert or 25-minute concert, but we did it 3 times a day for 3 days, and it was amazing. It was amazing. It felt, you know, even for us as the performer itself, you know, we were able to interact in ways that we've never been before, and so it was a breakthrough in terms of live music performance, and you know, we feel like this is something that will be the standard or the norm of live performance in the next 10 years. So we're definitely on the, you know, cutting edge, on the forefront of a lot of these ideas and technology, and it all birthed from, you know, the Lord prompting us to do this music ministry, and him picking us out, knowing that we knew nothing about music and that we weren't capable of singing or performing. That way we had to find alternative routes to, you know, to push the message through in our performance. So, you know, this is definitely all his doing, and we're just so blessed and so proud that we could be a part of it.
And I think it was Bill that I was talking to when he was, I think he said that you guys are pushing this, you know, church first.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
You want to cater to the churches more than, you know, like I'm trying to think of what's even in Sioux City, the major arena, Quicken Loans Arena, or, you know, Chesapeake.
Yeah. Well, the thing is this, you know, our heart has always been for the church. You know, we feel as though we've kind of, in the past few decades, we've kind of taken a backseat, or like a secondary. We're kind of like everybody else is doing it now. We're starting to do it, you know, in terms of technology, in terms of music, and so we want this to be like where it was, how it was back in the old times, where, you know, art was the Christian art was kind of the forefront of art itself. Christian music was kind of the forefront of music itself. And so when we came up with this idea, we wanted this to be the first thing, would be to implement this in the church, you know, in a worship setting and everything. And so it's tougher than, the idea is great, but it's not as easy to turn into reality, just because I don't know, sometimes you know, people in the church, or the church itself, doesn't value things like that as much as we think they would. We've had a few churches that's super interested in it, to do it, but it seems like the rest of the world is far more interested in doing something this extraordinary, you know, than the church is. That was, you know, we kept saying to the people, you know, it's like, hey, we need to be doing this, and, you know, I really want to encourage the church to be in the forefront and embrace something that's going to put them on the map, but it's a lot slower than I thought it would be. But the mainstream, whether it's a corporate world, whether it's the you know, the bigger production, they're taking it on a lot quicker, which is sad, man. It really is, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about, you know, an immersive experience, and I'm thinking, you know, this is, as John Christ would put it, you know, it'd be totally white girl, but thank you, John Christ, for taking this over. But, you know, like, I could see Oceans, you know, singing Oceans with that immersive sound and having a little bit of a sound effect.
We'll have it. We'll have we build a presentation room here at our facilities, so people can come in and demo. It should be done here. We're still in the works of it, but it should be done here the next couple of weeks. But one of the songs that we did for the main presentation is actually, aside from like one of our own originals that we put on there, but we did a new rendition of Sinking Deep by Hillsongs. We talked to Hillsong about it and got the permission to utilize the song, and they're super excited about it. Actually, Hillsong is one of the first group, that more likely would be implementing this technology into their services coming up for like the Easter shows or the Christmas presentation and stuff. So we've been working with them on trying to find a timeline, trying to find when is the the appropriate launch date for this. But they've given us the permission to utilize their song, and so we did. Us and another band called Versus redid the instrumentation, the arrangement, and everything, and put it for this presentation, and it is amazing. Like we demoed out. We were tinkering around with it at one of our local churches here. It's one of the largest churches here, and in Sioux City, because we needed a big place to test this out, and it wasn't for everybody to hear. It wasn't for general public. It was just for us to do some research,
Mm-hmm.
But we let the pastor and the lead worship pastor and a couple other team from the church came and kind of just listened to it, and I mean everybody was in tears just because it was it was something different, because you felt not only just the presence of it, but just being in music was so much more of a different feeling than listening to music, and so that's why, in our mind, I'm like, man, this would be like the perfect tool to engage the corporate audience, to engage the church, to the church members, church body, to put them in a place where they're free to express themselves during times of worship, where they're able to not be afraid to sing just because you're fully immersed in this whole thing. So, I think they'll catch on, if we get some of the bigger players in worship music, Christian worship music to, they're super excited about it, so we'll see where this thing goes, but we're moving forward with or without, them. And I think, we're going to come out with a video here sometime this year, where it's presented in immersive. It was recorded in immersive, and so it's going to be one of the first. So we'll see how this thing all pans out. But we're super excited.
Sounds like you're very passionate about excellence and just being at the peak, as not just as a person, but just as a Christian, as a Christian musician. Just being at that forefront and leading this and that excellence.
Yeah. I mean, the way we perceive it, the way we go about it is what Christ did for us is far beyond anything we've deserved, right? Not only just a part of like dying on the cross, giving us life and salvation. Even beyond that, even now, he's still working for us. I mean, he even said so himself. He says, I'm going to go, and where I go, I'm going to build a place for you, when he was talking to his disciples. And so even at that, he didn't stop at resurrection. He is continually working for us, for his people that he loves. And because of that, that's where for us, as this Bread of Stone BNY team, this is something of our callback to what he's given us. This is our just saying thank you isn't enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so this is more like we're just expressing our thanks. We're just expressing our gratitude for all the things that Jesus has done for us in our life. And it would be like a slap in the face for Christ if I only did it just in my spare time, or if I only did it because I had some energy left over. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
This is our entire life. This is our everything. This is, everything that we do, not for the sake of like oh, music is our life. It isn't music. It's not even about the ministry. Even the ministry itself isn't our life. Our life is Jesus. It's Jesus is the thing. Jesus is everything that we do. The basis of everything we do is because of Jesus. And so it isn't just a ministry. It isn't just music. It isn't just production. This is our life. And so that's why you're right when you say we're passionate, because we are. And also the level at which we're doing these things, it isn't like like, oh, we're doing a decent job. I mean, the things that we're doing, these are things that are on the forefront of technology, but also in the terms of level wise, these are like world class things that we're doing, meaning top of the top of events or companies are involved with what we're doing here. So for us, it's like exciting that there are companies and people out there who trust us enough to mess around with their ideas and with their inventions, and allowing us to modify things, allowing us to add on or take away, or which is a huge blessing for us. So we're definitely excited about this.
And it's so awesome to see you guys being out and, in the, quote unquote, in the world, but also, as much as I know you guys, you guys aren't shy about the fact that you guys are Christian. You guys are a Christian band, and that you're able to take that, through that excellence in technology and what you're doing in that space, and that's a way to spread the gospel as well. That's another avenue to share Christ.
Right. And what's crazy is, like, even now, with the avenue of the BNY production and being able to do this, it's like there are doors that are open for us to be able to, in a sense, be a part of something we would never be a part of if we were just a Christian band, or Christians in general. We do, especially right now, we do a lot of political events all over the country, and these are events that you see on TV, on national broadcast, media outlets all over the world, and we're part of the production team to put these events together, to implement the events. And so these are things that we get to be a part of a setting where you have 100% non-believers. Everybody you come in contact with and you work with are almost the exact opposite of what Christian or churchgoers are. You know what I'm saying? And we would never be in that position if it wasn't for what God was doing in our life. And when the Lord says to be a light in the darkness, I mean, this is one of the opportunities that we get to shine a light. And we're not, in their face saying like, hey, you need to believe in Jesus. But in what we do, in the things that we do, they see that. And one of the things that I've noticed a lot is, because when we travel a lot, a lot of times we, as Bread of Stone, we travel with our families, and it's a community thing that we do. But even in our production side of things too, we build it up as though it's a community, and a community of believers. And so what they gravitate to the most is the fact that they desire that aspect of it in life, where there is that sense of passion and belief, even though we're not. They don't ask us like, "Hey, are you a Christian?" or "What do you believe in?" and all that stuff. They don't particularly ask those questions, but they know that my brother and I are Bread of Stone, and I'm sure they're smart enough to go on YouTube or Google and figure out what Bread of Stone is about. But it is something that they realize to themselves, that what we do is trustworthy, that we're not just in it for the money, we're not in it for the opportunity, but we're in it because this is what the Lord has given and placed in front of us, and we do it for His glory. Even though it's like, well, how can you say that when for His glory, and what they talk about isn't glorifying God, but it's behind the scenes, the things that people don't see that happens behind the scenes, that you see months later. You come back and there's been an impact that happens in people's lives, the way that people approach things, their attitudes, the way their viewpoint is on life has changed just because of our presence being there, So it's when you talk about reaching the lost or being in the midst of darkness, I mean, it doesn't get much more crazy than the political world,
And so you're talking about, carrying a light, I'll make a huge leap and go to, this little light of mine.
Right.
Which is consequently one of my favorite parts of your guys' show every time. Never gets old.
With the Mario Brothers thingy.
Yeah. And so that's part of for those of you guys who haven't been or haven't seen Brett Stone's show, it's a interactive part of their show that, it's using cameras, green screen, superimposing, kind of along the same theme of, keeping on the front end of technology and stuff. They use cameras quite a bit in their show. And this particular part is, you have the Mario Brothers, and I don't know what you call Tim and Jason. I don't know where they would go.
It's basically, the idea is like, there's 4 players, right, in the game, and so each one of us are players. But yeah, you're right. I don't know what we call Tim. Is the Turtle Slayer is what we call him. Tim the Turtle Slayer.
Yeah. Does that put Tim as Princess Peach or?
Oh, I'm not sure. Maybe he could be the mushroom guy. Who's the mushroom guy?
Toady.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Things aren't looking good for Timmy.
No. We should probably stop there.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a text from him later after he hears this and be like, hey man, about that. Oh, that's terrible. But kind of going back to, your dad, really kind of set you guys down on this path, and it sounds like he gave you guys a lot of tough love, but a lot of encouragement, at the same time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, there's a lot. Both my parents are involved in this a lot. Just being able to grow us and to kind of show us, not in terms of music or, in that sense, but life. Because, the point of doing all this is Jesus, right? And in him is life. And I think the biggest asset for me that I see with my parents is that they point us continuously towards Jesus and say, there, look at that, look at this. In every scenario that happens, whether sometimes you call it like a massive issue or problems or all that stuff, what they remind us is like, in the things of life, in those things, when you're going through a tough time, when everything seems like it's not going your way, that's where you need to be looking. You say, okay, where is Jesus in all of this? Because that's what you want to see, because the whole point of doing all this in life is to see Jesus. And that's where, for us, the biggest asset that they've given us is over our lifetime is the fact that they always remind us to say, hey, look at Jesus, look to Jesus for all this. Because if we get so caught up in the ministry, if we get so caught up in the business, in the production, and everything else but Jesus, then we miss the point of all of this. Christ orchestrate all this thing in our life. So just to show to us that he loves us. And if we miss that, then we're no different than the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the people back in the Old Testament who wanted Christ dead, because we're so caught up in the legalistic things, in the right and wrong, in the, well, you said this and I said that, and all the technical side of things, but yet Jesus is standing right there in front of us and we don't acknowledge him at all, And so if anything in life, that was the biggest thing that our parents taught us.
And from my involvement with you guys, from the times that I've gotten to be involved with, being my Brett Stone, I mean, that's something that that whole family, that community feel that you're talking about, that, you know, kind of your parents had passed on, is very evident from just even a volunteer picking up and spending the day or a couple of days at a festival with you. You know, like I said, it's, you become part of the community, and it is, you know, just exactly what you're talking about. It's all, you know, toward the point of just, you know, family, community, you know, just leading to Christ.
Right.
And that's, you know, I was kind of bummed that you weren't up there this year, and you're not even anywhere close to Dallas this year. Like, what's up with that?
I know, man. We've been doing a lot more East Coast and like Florida events, so, and Midwest, definitely a lot of Midwest events. But sorry, yeah, I don't know what happened with Wyoming. We didn't. I think there was a change in the organizer, the leader, or something like that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know, hey, there's always the next time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was dates and so the kind of mutual friend here that had been organizing it, he decided he wanted to have kids. You know? Yes, that's what it was. So, you know, he took some time to, you know, going back to family, you know, to, you know, start that. And it's been a super long process for them. And, you know, we're very excited that they actually had triplets. That poor soul.
What?
Yes.
That's crazy.
You know, and I've been friends with Matthew for a very long time, you know, relatively long time. Right. And I mean, this is, you know, an answer to prayer for them, you know, long journey of prayer for them.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
So, you know, it keeps coming back around to family.
Right.
But yeah, I was looking at dates and like nothing anywhere close to Dallas. I'm a little hurt.
I know.
But no, but just that's one of the things that I've always enjoyed, you know, looking forward to every year is just kind of that family feel. You know, it's, you know, the work gets done, you know, the production goes great, but, you know, it's never just about the work. It's about just kind of everybody, you know, around, and just the community of everyone, you know, getting the job done, you know, and the end result of, you know, the music and the worship, and, you know, hopefully someone stumbles across what's going on at the festival and, you know, hears about Christ for the first time. Right.
And it's like, if we had to be aware of it all the time, it's actually burdensome, because if you're like, hey, make sure you act Christ-like because people are watching, you're at a festival, you're blah blah, you know, saying like, if we had to do that, basically like put on our Sunday best, it's tiring, it's burdensome. But if it is your life and you just live out your life, you're not even thinking about that part of it, but it just comes naturally, you know. So because there's a difference between this is who you are and this is what you do. You get what I'm saying? Like, if it is who you are, it is who you are. You don't have to act differently. But if it's what you do, it's like, well, I'm at this particular job. This is my job. I got to do this. Then it's like you perform. And then when you're done performing, you go back to yourself again. Where for us, it's like we, you know, when we're on the bus together and stuff, we share about these things within ourselves and our, you know, small community that we are. And we're very open to each other about all the things that God's doing in our life, all the things that's happening. And we say, you know, if we cannot be open to each other, if we cannot be honest with each other, how can we say that we're going to be honest to God? You know, a lot of times we say like, oh, you know, this is between me and the Lord. I'm just going to ask him for forgiveness, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, that's bull. You know what I'm saying? Because the truth is, like, that's why it's like baptism. It's like you do it out in the open in front of everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? Because you want to come out of your own self, because this is not about us anymore. This is about Jesus. You know, it's like if you're not willing to open up to somebody else about your inner issues, you know, how can you be set free from it? You be set free because the truth is, right, it's not that the problem is not, oh, we're bad, we're horrible, we're sinful. It's not about that, but it is the sin that is in us that's causing us to do these things. So what we're doing essentially is basically opening it up and saying, hey, devil, I'm going to strip you naked in front of everybody, and then you're embarrassed, and then you're just going to flee and leave. And that's basically what we're doing, is when we confess these things, when we say these things out in the open with the community that God put us in, whether it's the church, whether it's like our group here, Bread of Stone, or whether in the family, what you're doing essentially is you're stripping away the enemy of its, of its coverings to expose the enemy, because at the end of it, it's not about me anymore. It's about what God is doing. And that's the one thing that I think for us, we love so much, is this community that Christ has put us in and has shaped over the years is a community that's very, very conducive for growth and for us to be able to help each other, to remind each other, to be honest with each other, so that we're not just saying, hey, good job and do this and that, but we're saying, hey, I'm looking at you and I'm seeing this and I'm worried about this part of it. And we share that with everybody, so that, because it's not the person, it's the sin that is in the person that's the problem. So,
and I mean, that's, I think, especially powerful, because you do, have family, not only, your brother, but, your wife comes with you a lot of times, and your son.
Right.
And then, it seems like you almost have to be married. Timmy's going to hate me after this. He really is. It's like, but, it's almost like you got to be married to be in Bread of Stone and on the road with them. But no,
well, I mean, we have a couple of single people.
Yeah. I definitely don't want to get leave Sarah out. She's awesome. We'll just do that for everybody. But no, I mean, you guys, you take the family with you. You take
Right.
the village with you. In close quarters on a bus. And I mean, that's something that's awesome to see. Jason, his wife Skylar, who's a great artist in her own right.
Right.
But she's now going around with you guys. They've been married a couple of years now.
Yep.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. You said your wife comes on the bus with you. Bill and his wife are on the bus.
Yeah.
You said you got Timmy and Sarah, who at least they're not the fifth or sixth wheel. At least they're not the odd wheel.
And sometimes we bring a couple other people too on the road, depending on the event that we do.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the core people that travels with us.
Yeah, I mean, so it definitely is a whole family, and you brought that family feel with you, not just kind of from what your parents have instilled, but you guys have carried that on forward, to what you do.
Right.
And it's the times that I've gotten to hang out with you guys, I think it was last November. I mean, it's as you guys were in catering or just wherever, just hanging out with you guys. I mean, that's very apparent.
Praise the Lord, man.
And I think I even got your kid in trouble once or twice. Being kind of part of it.
Did you give him some snacks that are too sugary? Is that what it is?
I think it was more like stop playing with toys at the table.
Yeah.
I think that's more along the lines that it was.
Okay. Well, that's not too bad then.
Yeah. Not the worst, but still, not necessarily the best influence. So maybe that's why you're not coming back to Dallas. I didn't think about that.
You're like, man, was it because of me? Is it what I did?
No,
we'd love to come back, man. We'd love to come back. I was talking to my brother about that. I was like, wait, aren't we supposed to be in Wyoming right now? But because Skylar's from Wyoming, and so that was her thing. She liked that event a lot. So maybe next year.
Yep. Maybe next year for sure.
When there's another eclipse.
Yeah, and that was. So I don't think I got to tell you about that. After that event, that ended on a Sunday. I stayed for the eclipse on, I think it was Monday, if I remember correctly.
Morning. It was at the noon or something, around noonish.
Yep. So it normally takes about 4.5 hours to get from Casper to Denver, to where I was flying out of.
Yeah.
I stayed at my in-laws and watched the eclipse. As soon as it lit up, said goodbye, peeled rubber out of there. And it wasn't too bad until I got about an hour or so down the road. It took me 9 hours for that trip to get down to Denver.
Yeah. No, it was crazy. We were going back home too that next morning, and it was bad. I mean, like, cars were everywhere on the side of the road and everything. So yeah, it took a lot longer than normal.
I mean, the eclipse was amazing.
Yeah.
So Casper was in the path of that totality a couple of years ago, and I mean, it was an amazing experience in that totality. But if I were smart, which signs are not good for me, I would have just stayed that extra day and gone out the next day.
Yeah, we wanted to leave there. We left there kind of the night after we were done. We started just heading out because we knew that it was going to be crazy the next day. So we kind of just like start moving out of town. But even that, it was still, it was still crazy. But we stopped in somewhere in Nebraska, like central Nebraska or western Nebraska. And it was crazy because the whole town, literally, it was a small town. And it looked like it was like a horror movie where all of a sudden everything got dark and all the lights started turning on, all the street lights and everything. And it was like, it felt like it was like early morning or like midnight. That's how dark it was. And we were in the prime spot, but it was still very, very, very cool. We stopped, pulled over, and we're like, this is so crazy. It's so dark. But yeah, that was once in a lifetime, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. And I think that was the year that I met you guys for the first time, I think.
Yeah.
The next year you guys were prepared. Next year,
because the next year after that was we were in a different spot, right? And it was like raining. There's a storm that came through.
Yeah, it was. The famous Casper wind. It moved to one of the parks, and we had to. I think it was a 30-minute pause between.
Yeah, because it was right before Mandisa, I think.
Yeah, it was right between you and Mandisa, and the wind just came up something fierce, and then the rain came down, and we had to shut it down for, I think it was a good half hour.
Yep, and cleaned up afterwards.
Yeah. Well, we're all huddled in what little shelter there was.
Yeah, it was. Welcome to Wyoming, huh?
Yeah, no joke. Yeah, and it was gone just as fast.
Yeah,
it came. I think I got a sunburn earlier that day, and then the storm came up, and then, like I said, it just.
Oh, you had like almost the four cycle. The season cycle all in like 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. It was a good time.
Well, we'll have to do it again, man, for sure.
Yep, absolutely. So this is episode 10, and I'm glad we timed this correct. 10's a good solid milestone.
Yeah.
I think. It's not new, but it's not an old thing either yet. Kind of where it starts kind of getting broken in. So to kind of celebrate this 10th episode, we're titling this Perennial Dad Jokes. So our co-host, Legin, those of you in the podcast have already listened to the, kind of our talk with Legin here. So dad jokes kind of became the theme, of the host bit there. So I want to see if you have a good bit that works every time on your kid, or if you have a good dad joke that's like, never fail. What's your never fail dad joke?
I'm telling you, Israel is the worst because he's always like, whenever I try to be funny and tell like dad joke stuff, he's always just like, Dad. I'm like, what? I'm like, come on, like laugh or something. It's funny. It's pretty hilarious, He's just like, Dad. It's like, oh, you're no fun. Now I do a lot on stage too. When I talk, I'll throw something. I'm like, it just pops in my mind. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, oh, that's cool. And I just say it, and they're like, ha 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 ha. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty clever, right? Pretty clever. Yeah. So I'm apparently not very good at the dad joke part of it. Although I do think it's pretty clever. Everybody else around me doesn't seem to think the same way as I do. So I think dad jokes are supposed to be that way, where it's funny to yourself, but
Yeah, that sounds to me like you're doing it right.
yeah, exactly. See, you understand. Yeah. So, yeah, but I do like, I do feel like I'm pretty clever at dad jokes, but again, not everybody understands. So, but that's okay. It's usually with like words, like I put words together and like, get it, and they're like, yeah, we got it. I'm like, oh.
Oh man. So part of being the 10th episode, we have a handful of autographed CDs, of your new EP. Well, new-ish. It's what, 3-4 months old by now.
Yes. It's came out this spring, I think. Right? Came out in spring. So yeah, you're right.
So, we have a handful of those. It's an awesome EP. We've been waiting a long time for that. Thank you for finally getting that to us. I'm pretty sure your manager, Brittany, was sick of me. When's it coming out?
I know. Man, it was supposed to be done like end of last year, but we couldn't crank it out. But now after this whole thing, we've got some really cool stuff in the works that we're excited to crank out. So I think what we're gonna do is just do like singles, or just like as soon as the song is done, we should just post it. You know what I'm saying? Like instead of just waiting for like 5 or 10 songs. It takes forever. Sometimes people are just like, just give us a song. So I think that's what we might do. Just if there's a song that's done, we're just gonna send it out and be like, here's a song.
I love it. I'm excited now. So we got the autographed EPs. So I think it's, what do we have? I think it's 5. I'll have to go count. But we have some of those. So I'd love to do a giveaway as part of our 10th episode shenanigans here.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man.
So we've got those in hand, autographed by Ben, Bill, Timmy, and Jason all. So let's do an Instagram giveaway, let's do an Instagram contest. So send us a screenshot of you listening to the new album, which is called
Details.
Yeah. Give us a caption, and don't give us just like the screenshot of where it's at the plays at 00. I mean, we want to see that you're actually listening to this. I mean, this is good stuff here.
Yeah.
Minute 20, find something random, cool. But yeah, so send us a screenshot of you listening to the details, any one of the songs, and what should the hashtag be?
Hashtag be do BOS details. BOS details.
Yep, BOS details. Tag new release today and Bretta Stone in your Instagram post, and let's throw on what are we doing here? Is it Bretta Fall right now? That's
Bretta Fall. Yeah.
Yep. Either BOS details or Bretta Fall. Just tag it with hashtag, and we'll give it a couple 3 weeks, and we'll send out some CDs.
That'd be awesome. All
right. Well, thanks, Ben, for taking the time to chat with me here, man. It's always a great time talking with you.
No problem, Jake. Thank you again for having me. Thanks for having me on this 10. What is that? Is that a decade? 10. And anyways, 10. Yeah. This is quite an achievement. 10 is good. I like that.
Yeah, good round number.
Yeah, I like it. And listen, once we get more new stuff, we'll definitely have Brittany send you some sneak peeks, and I want to hear what your thoughts on the new songs that we've got working here. So next couple of months we'll be working on it. So hopefully we'll have some out to you.
All right. Well, I'm excited.
All right, Jake. Thanks again for having me, man.
All right. Thanks, Ben.
All right. God bless you.